Man, what a beautiful morning it is. Like, I just love waking up in the morning when the sun is just like beaming in your face, you know. It's just, what an amazing way to start the day.
For the record, I'm done trying to make y'all comfortable. For the record, you ain't trying to grow, then it's done for you. For the record, lab on me going all the way. For the record, ain't trying to link, no time to waste. For the record, for the record, yeah. For the record.
We got our vitamin C and we got our water. Welcome to another video, guys. Frank Kenny over here. So, you know, when you wake up in the morning, your body's in the fastest state. So that is to say you're going like 6-8 hours, depending on how many hours you've slept, you know, without any food. So when you wake up in the morning, your body's relying on stored energy in order for it to function, you know. And so basically you're going to be burning fat when you wake up in the morning until you start consuming food, you know. And then like all that is happening through hormones, which is what we're going to be talking about today, through hormones. Hormones, I think it's so essential to just that you have to understand, you know, in order to like achieve like your physic goals, you know. So hormones is one of the biggest factors that determines whether you gain weight, you lose weight, you build muscle, or lose muscle. And so like just me, when I first understood this, it was like, wow, you know. But we got our vitamin C. Okay, so talking about hormones and stuff like that, first I think it's important for us to understand it's like back in the days, you know, when like humans used to live in caves and stuff like that, you know, they would have to like hunt their food down, you know, and then they weren't always able to do that, you know, but when they did make a catch, you know, of like, you know, hunting, you know, they would have to consume all that food all up at once. So meaning they're consuming a whole bunch of energy at one time. You know, they weren't able to like, you know, save the food for later use because like the food would go bad and they didn't have refrigerators, you know, for them to store that in. And so what our body would do, you know, when we consume all that food, it'll use what it can and then whatever or however much it needs, and then the rest of it will be stored as fat for later use, because like, you know, we didn't know like if we would be able to eat like the next day or the day after that, you know. So it's like how we were able to survive. It's like our body, we use the stored fat, you know, the stored energy that we had from like the previous catch, you know, like in order for us to like, you know, survive, you know, to like function adequately, you know. So that's how we were able to survive back in the day, and that's how our body is designed. But the problem is today, you know, we just have the luxurious of like finding food in every corner of the street, you know. And obviously a lot of people abuse that, you know. People will continuously eat and eat and eat way more in my life, way more like energy and food that they need, you know. And so our body, you know, what, you know, it's going to do what it's designed to do, you know. It's going to store, you know, the excess amount of it. It's going to continuously store that.
Just the other day, saw you looking my way. I start to contemplate moments that went to waste. Why you do that? You drop me like who that? And put me through that. Baby, it's useless. I'm living my life. Don't need to remind me, feeling just fine. One of a kind. Who better than I? Oh. Shawty, don't play that game. Shawty, don't play that game.
This right here is my addiction. So I literally like every 2 weeks I go to GNC and just grab like 16 of these, or it's like 12 or something like that. You know, like I get like a bunch of different flavors, you know, from like Bang to like Rain. Where is it at? Yeah, like the Rains, and also like, you know, like the 3D and stuff like that. I don't know, it's an deception of mine. So when you consume food, you know, that gets, you know, turned into glucose, you know, mainly from source of carbohydrate, such as like rice, potato, and stuff like that, you know. So that gets converted into glucose, you know. So glucose is like the main source of energy that our body uses, you know, especially our brain. That's the only source of energy that our brain uses. So our body needs that in order to be able to function adequately, you know, do its day-to-day tasks, you know. So that's glucose, and then from glucose, that gets converted into, so whatever excess amount that your body doesn't need, okay, so that gets converted into glycogen. So glycogen now is what is then stored into like your muscle cells and into your liver, you know, with the help of insulin. as we talked about again, insulin plays a huge role into just like, you know, it's a hormone, you know, it plays a huge role into your body, you know. It's what determines whether you gain fat, whether you lose fat, whether you gain muscle, you know, it plays a huge role, you know, and a lot more other things, you know, but for now we're just gonna talk about like the basics, okay? So insulin is a hormone. That's what, you know, as I'm talking about. It's a hormone that is secreted into your bloodstream from the pancreas. So that, you know, is present into your bloodstream, and basically it takes out what your body doesn't need, and then it, you know, it transfers that into like your neighboring cells into your body, right? So mainly your liver and then your muscle cells. So that's what insulin does. It's basically, it tells you, you know, it tells your body, you know, it takes out the nutrients that your body doesn't need, and then it just transfers it to like neighboring cells, and then we like, that's not something we necessarily control, like where it gets transferred, okay? But I think that's important to understand, you know, that's very important to understand. So like, honestly, like in my opinion, you know, it's like basically everything that I'm talking about, something that I'm just saying that so you can do like more research upon it, you know, because that's what I did. So it's like, as I heard about it, it's like, man, that's very interesting. Like I want to actually know in depth, in detail about like, you know, your hormones and all that stuff, you know. So do further research on like everything that I'm talking about, just so you know for yourself. You know, I probably didn't explain it like the best way, so that's why I'm saying do your research on it. But basically, in my opinion, like the best way for you just to, you know, if you're somebody trying to like cut down and like burn fat and build muscle, you know, intermittent fasting, you know. Oh, let's see. So we got cream cheese roll. What's next? Ooh, spicy shrimp roll. Bro, my love for sushi, man, it's insane, man. It's like, sushi is one of those things, like, it's either you love or you hate it, you know. Like, the first time I tried sushi, like, I didn't necessarily, like, love it, you know. It's like I had to try, like, a couple of times, but now it's like I'm obsessed with it, you know. But, yeah. Eel sauce. Thank you. Okay, so like all these talk about like hormones and stuff like that, you know. Okay, so like what of it? So like, how does it help you like lose weight? If you wanted to lose weight, how does it help you lose fat? If you wanted to lose fat, which is actually different from, you know, losing weight and losing fat, are actually two different things. And like, how does it help you build muscle if you wanted to build muscle? Okay, so let's talk about it, you know. So as we talked about, you know, insulin, you know, human growth hormone, and then we didn't even start talking about testosterone yet, which would not, because that's just like a whole different subject, but like all of that contribute into like muscle gain, you know. So say for example, you're somebody who wants to gain, you know, weight and muscle, you know, you're small trying to gain weight and muscle, but you, from what we talked about, knowing that like you know, insulin, you know, if you're, you know, sensitive to insulin, which is a good thing, you know, meaning your body is able to like consume and distribute those nutrients effectively, you know, which with like minimum fat gain. You know, people who are not you know, sensitive to insulin, you know, meaning like, okay, the body can't necessarily consume energy as you know, as somebody who's sensitive to insulin. So meaning like the body is like, it's easy for the body to like basically store fat, and obviously we don't want that, you know. So now say on the opposite, you know, if you're somebody who's trying to lose weight, you know, or lose fat, as we talked about, two different things, but you can do both of those, you know. So again, with insulin, so you want to have as minimum insulin spikes as possible. So that is to say, like, already you know this. So like every time you eat food, you know, insulin, you know, insulin is secreted into your, you know, into your bloodstream, you know, and then it just consumes that food, you know, and then it just stores it, you know, just depending how your body, you know, effectively does that, you know, talking about sensitive to insulin and not being sensitive to insulin. But again, like I said, if you're trying to cut fat, you know, or lose, you know, or lose some weight, you know, so you want to have as minimum insulin spikes as possible. So that way, you know, if your body is not, you know, if insulin is not, you know, it's not present in your bloodstream, that means HGH is, which is human growth hormone. So HGH, human growth hormone, contributes to like fat burn and like weight loss and stuff like that. Okay, which we talked about, you know, where it breaks down basically fat that you have already stored in your body, and then it uses that as energy. So you're getting rid of that fat that you continuously stored over the time, you know. And so the best way to do this is by intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting is basically you consume food in a period of time, in like 8-10 hours window during the day. Obviously that's, you know, you're gonna have to apply that based on like your lifestyle, like, you know, your schedule and stuff like that. Basically you eat either between like 8 or 10 hours in a day, and then the rest of the time your body is just gonna be burning fat. Okay, and so you're not storing any excess fat and stuff like that, as we talked about in the beginning, you know, which is what a lot of people do by just consuming way much calorie and energy that their body needs, you know, and then all that, it just gets stored, you know. So intermittent fasting is where you eat in a small, like, you know, you have like an 8-10 hours window, you know, or even more, just kind of depending on you, you know. And so you just have that time to consume food, you know, and then the rest of the time, you know, when insulin is not present, your body is going to be burning the excess energy that you've consumed, and then therefore gradually losing weight and fat. Hopefully that makes sense, you know. Okay, so we've talked about why hormones play like a big role just in our body and stuff like that, you know. Just, you know, I've talked about it in the beginning, just going back to like back when humans used to live in caves and so like having to like hunt for like food, you know. So like when they didn't have access to food and stuff like that, you know, basically the food that they ate before, the energy that they consumed before in the beginning, that was being stored as fat, you know. So it's again, so as times where they didn't have access to food, you know, that fat was being used in order for them, you know, to keep them alive, you know, to keep them, you know, to keep their body functioning adequately and stuff like that, you know. So again, everything that I've talked about, like I said, you know, just do your own research, you know. That's just to like spark, you know, curiosity, like, oh, I didn't know about that. Like I said, it was the same thing for me, you know. It's like, because in the fitness industry, bro, there's like there's so much junk out there, there's so much shit out there, you know. It's just like we don't know. It's like, because everybody's just like talking about like this and that, like we don't know what's right and what's wrong, you know. So it's just upon us to like do the research, you know, because like not everybody knows what they're talking about, you know. I mean, like I said, you don't have to listen to me, but just like do the research, you know. I'm just talking about this like to help people out and stuff like that, which again, like I love doing, you know. That's one of my passions, that's to help people out. So do the research, you know. Do the research, you know. Like you don't have to take my word for it, because like I too was in that place where I was just like consuming content for like some people who didn't know what they were talking about. And so it's like I was doing things that they said, you know, that, you know, these some of these people were saying, like I wouldn't get the same result that they were talking about. So it just kind of like I followed everything that you did, so like why am I not getting the same result, blah blah blah. And so it's like that kind of left me to like do further research, you know. And also like a lot of stuff that I learned is from like my coach Bob at the time, when he was like training me for like my bodybuilding show, again, which I won first place. But yeah, so it's like I learned from my coach, you know, and just upon what I learned, you know, it's like, okay, it even sparked more curiosity, where like I did even further research, and hence why I'm like talking about this, you know. So it's like, man, this is really important, you know. And just like if you're not, you know, achieving the results that you know that you want as far as like your physique, fitness and stuff like that, you know, and a lot of it has to do with like, you know, just you understanding like your hormones, like how that works and why is this not working and stuff like that, you know. But yeah, I've said a lot already, so I need to get my workout in for the day. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please make sure to do so, you know, somewhere up in the corner over there. Please make sure to subscribe to the channel. And if you're also not following me on social media, such as like my Instagram, my Snapchat, you know, all of those will be aligned right over here somewhere in this video. So like make sure to follow those, and like where I post like daily like, you know, content as far as like nutrition, like fitness and stuff like that. So like make sure to follow if you're not already doing so. So lately I've been using like resistance bands for like my workouts and stuff like that, you know. I like to switch it up now and then. I'll do like, you know, I'll do body weight, and then next time I'll switch it up to just, you know, just resistance bands.
Go dummy, go beast, oh no, I go beast, go deep, I OD, oh no, apply pressure, put heat, oh no, put that 0 degrees, oh no, 500 degrees, go dummy, go beast, oh no, I go beast, go deep, I OD, oh no, apply pressure, put heat, oh no, put that 0 degrees, oh no, 500 degrees, down, levitate, going up, elevate, watch me demonstrate, on time, never late, I grind, celebrate, no pump fake, hesitate, I've been scoring every day, champagne, Perrier, since 9-3, been in the box, now I'm stepping up home, like straight out the sandlot, now I'm plotting on the globe, I work hard, I show love, that calm and steady grind, got this far, I go hard, let God take control, I was
was starving skinny, now my weight up, got no energy for haters. See you trying, see you later, see you later. I'm shooting for the stars, need no laser beam blowing like the greatest, but it's one who's always greater. Yo, go dummy, go beast on 'em. I go beast, go deep, I OD on 'em. Apply pressure, put heat on 'em. Put that 500 degrees on 'em. 500 degrees. Go dummy, go beast on 'em. I go beast, go deep, I OD on 'em. Apply pressure, put heat on 'em.
Workout completed, and I'm exhausted. Whew. Alright guys, so if you guys made it through this far in the video, I really do appreciate you guys. If you guys have anything, any comments or any questions as far as what I was talking about in the video, just please make sure to drop them in the comments below, as well as like make sure to subscribe to the channel, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you guys have any suggestions for any like future videos, again, just make sure to drop them in the comments below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace, stay safe.